Section 8.4, graphing rational functions, finding asymptotes and wholes. So remember that, well, first let's factor. We need to factor the top and the bottom. So on the top, negative 2x minus 2, you can factor out a greatest common factor of negative 2. And then you have x plus 1. When you factor the denominator, factors of negative 3 to add to negative 2 are x minus 3 and x plus 1. When you're trying to decide if a value is an asymptote or a whole, if the factor that's in the denominator will cancel with the one that's in the numerator, like that, then the value of x that would have made it undefined, which in this case is negative 1, because negative 1 plus 1 is 0, the denominator would have been 0. That value is a whole. So our graph will have a whole when x is negative 1. If it doesn't factor out, we're left with the x minus 3 on the bottom that will not factor. We can't simplify any further. So we're left with 2 over x minus 3. The value that would have made that undefined, or that will make that undefined, which is x equals positive 3, that is an asymptote. So I'm going to draw my asymptote at positive 3. X equals 3 is a vertical line crossing the x-axis at 3. So I'm going to use my highlighter, draw a dashed asymptote through 3 on the x-axis. Hopefully you can recognize the shape of this graph. It will have the 2 branches, one in each corner, and you need to plot a point to determine if it's going to be in these 2 corners or in these 2 corners. When you plot a point, you get to choose a value of x. So I'm going to choose, x equals 4. So here's x equals 4. I'm going to substitute 4 in for my simplified function, the one that after I've canceled. I'm going to substitute 4 in here and get negative 2 over 4 minus 3. Negative 2 over 1 is negative 2. So when when x is 4, y is negative 2. That's a point down here. And that's going to tell you which 2 corners the branches are in. They're always going to be in opposite corners. So if one's down here, and I'm just going to sketch it, remember that the ends approach the asymptotes, then the other one is going to be up here. And with Mr. Jones next year, you'll do some more in-depth graphing of these, but that's all we're going to ask you to do for this chapter.